Tonight, and every weeknight here on ENCA, a variety of newsmakers will get their chance to host this program. We'll give you, the viewer, a chance to get involved in the conversation. Unfiltered, accountable, and accessible. At the beginning of the year, Professor Somodora Fikeni told 702 that the DA was busy mutilating itself in a corner unprovoked. At the time, he was speaking about the party's handling of the Delil matter, but it could apply to many things that have happened since then, from Natasha Mazone's reaction to Mmusi Mamane's statements on white privilege, to Mashaba's recent Trump tweet and Zilla's reaction, which was a repetition of her controversial views on colonization. From an outsider's perspective, it looks like the party wants to be into transformation, but in reality, it's controlled by a faction that doesn't seem to want change. That's why I decided to talk to DA Federal Youth Leader Luyolo Mpithi. Maybe I'm wrong about them, and who better to set me straight than a young black leader? Does he find Mashaba and Zilla embarrassing? Are they like an old drunken uncle and aunt that you just have to put up with because they're family? I want to like the DA. I can't vote ANC or EFF, and I feel like it's a waste of time to put my ex next to the UDM like I did last time. And as much as I like certain recreational activities, the Dacha party just doesn't seem like a serious option. That's why I invited a representative of a party that doesn't always get as much news coverage as the ANC or EFF to find out if he can convince me to vote for them, because as it stands, I just can't, hey? Or, as General Bantu Holomisa would say, you can lead a water horse to a bird no. You can be part of the conversation. Here's how. I'm joined now by...
Tweet us at ENCA using the hashtag LHIO. Call us on 011-759-6340 or send us a WhatsApp or WhatsApp video on 082-884-6370. And make sure those videos are no longer than 30 seconds, please.
I'm joined now by Luyolo in studio. Good evening, Luyolo. How are you doing?
Good evening, and good evening to the listeners. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. It's great to have you on here. I have to say, you make the DA look cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so you've heard my views on the DA, and you must get it a lot. Let's not kid. So the first thing I want to ask you is there a stigma in certain places attached to being a young black leader in the DA?
I think definitely there is, and there shouldn't be. I think we are in 2018, and the Democratic Alliance should not be proving that it's not a white party, as many people would like to say. The Democratic Alliance is governing in different spheres of government where there's 18 million people that are under the government of the DA, and I think the DA is definitely transformative. The leaders of the DA are exemplary. So I think we are making progress, and I think there's a lot more we can do.
Also, you say. But the reason why a lot of people have trouble believing in this sort of stuff is because of things such as Mashaba's views on Trump, such as Helen Zilla's views on colonization, and such as the party's recent abandonment of the policy of BEE. Do these things not put you guys at odds with a party that's interested in transformation?
Well, let me correct you. The DA still believes that race is a determinant for finding out what disadvantage is in South Africa. That is still a policy that we continue to believe in. However, we believe that BEE has failed South Africans. It has failed the ordinary black South African in South Africa who is trying to be included in our economy, who's trying to be part of the economy. So what we are saying as the DA is we need to look at policy formulation that looks beyond what we currently have, and BEE is just not doing that.
Okay, but just from a plain PR perspective, how does it look like to say that we abandon BEE? How does it look like when, for instance, Natasha Mazone and other party members like Steenhuisen and Gavin Davis get so upset when Mmusi Mamane simply brings up the idea that there's such a thing as white privilege?
Well, I mean, in every political party, you'll have people who have different views, and of course, it's a contestation of ideas where people will have to push for what they believe is right. And I think with policy formulation, you get policy from different parts of places. And also in the party, you have people who are conservative, people who identify as liberals, people who identify as social liberals, and basically you'll have those different contestations. But essentially what we are saying is that when you look at disadvantage in this country, when you look at disadvantage in South Africa, it is still predominantly black South Africans who are facing this disadvantage. And therefore, when we look at policy of uplifting South Africans in this country, we have to look at race as a determinant for determining disadvantage.
Also, you say, but there are various members of the party who some feel that you guys are divided into factions and that there is a faction of older white interests within the DA. Where does that belief come from, and do you disagree?
Well, I mean, I definitely disagree. I think you have people who believe in particular ideas in every political party who will support particular ideas. And I think in the DA, that's what you have. You have people who have different views. But ultimately, I think what you see in the DA is we are a united political party, a very diverse organization with different views. And that's what happens when you have a diverse political party. You have people who come together to support a South Africa, a united South Africa. And those are the views that our leaders have.
But you say you are united. If you are united, does that not mean that to an extent you are attaching yourself to beliefs such as Mashaba's belief that Trump is better than Ramaphosa, whether or not you disagree or agree, or worse than that, Mashaba's alleged xenophobia?
Well, I mean, I think Mr. Herman Mashaba is very active on Twitter. We can tweet him and you can see what he says. But my view is really general. He made a comparison between Donald Trump and the president of the country. Was it something that was received well? Of course it wasn't received well. And I think that's the type of debates that we need to have. That does not take away from the work that he's doing in Johannesburg. I think this is a mayor who is really representing different people in Johannesburg and speaking for them. And that's the type of politicians that we need. People who understand what South Africans are crying about, what South Africans want to be changed in their communities. And this is what Herman is doing. He's the people's mayor. Do
you see him looking out, he's the people's mayor, but do you see him looking out for foreign nationals within South Africa?
I think what is very important is that the DA believes that everybody that comes into South Africa must ensure that they have the legal documents to come in. I think we have in South Africa a huge gap between the rich and the poor. And those who are in poorer communities are not being able to be included in our economy. And I think those are some of the things that add to xenophobic views. And I don't think Herman is xenophobic. What I do think is he wants to ensure that the law in this country is followed and the law in this country is enforced. And I think that's something that could be looked at in a really good way.
But are you not basically saying then that the reason why poor South Africans remain poor is that not just a very subtle way of saying foreigners are coming to our country and taking our jobs?
Well, I think if you unpack what I'm saying is that when you look at South Africa and how South Africa see foreign nationals coming into our country, they like to attach that their own personal experiences in terms of the economy, in terms of finding jobs, in terms of having housing, to foreign nationals coming into the country. And that's not necessarily the case. The case is the economy of this country has failed to deliver for South Africans. It has failed to create jobs. It has failed to ensure that people have accommodation, people have houses. So that frustration is building. And of course, it will build and it will be targeted at foreign nationals. And that is something that's not right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mpithi. Stay tuned as we continue after the break. Remember to use the hashtag LHIO on social media.